just kept on refining, tuning our levels, making everything look as good as it could be. And I think that there is no way I can explain to you the value of having that additional time to be able to sit back and actually look at a finished game and go, well, actually, how do we finish it? And so as a result of that extra time, and also you might have noticed there was no actual spoken language beyond Bloblish in the game. We were able to localize in 11 languages, and we did that in 2 weeks and 5 weeks, and then the linguistic QA took 10 weeks. We then had test teams in both Blue Time and Phoenix working around the clock, and we optimized the hell out of it, and we shipped 5 SKUs and then went through 5 times perfectly with Nintendo. So it was truly a THQ record and a great moment for our studio. So thanks for listening, blah, blah, blah. Anyone got any questions? Because otherwise we're going to show a video clip, and we have free t-shirts for those people that ask the most interesting questions. Come on.
Questions?
There must be one question.
Got a mic at the back? So.
Right, just shout it out, man. We'll listen to it.
Obviously, how did you sort of deal with some of the requests, marketing getting in such a small sort of time frame? Like, if marketing came up with, like, you said there was a few requests that you said just weren't feasible, how did you sort of go about convincing marketing on some of those?
I think you just have to be honest, right? I think in some cases you just go, well, what you're saying will take this amount of time, this is the amount of time we have remaining, and this is the human resources we have available at that point, so it's just we can't do it. Now obviously sometimes no has to be said in a whole number of different ways, but I think that you know, most people are reasonable. If you make a persuasive case, you can really move forward with that. But it's
yeah, and we did try really hard.
Yeah, to accommodate, right? Yeah. So whenever it was a reasonable request, we tried to accommodate. So you know, I think you know, one of those things which was an ongoing thing was should we have in-game advertising in this title, and we could see a way that it could work. It was, from a time perspective, very difficult, but I think also from a creative perspective, it was something that really didn't sit well with the actual what we were trying to build here. And so, you know, it's like, as much as it would have been, you know, interesting to have some additional development dollars driven by target advertising in the game, I didn't think Blob should be fighting for better prices for the common man. It's like, it's just didn't make sense. So it's like one of those things where, you know, you go back and forth and you talk about things. But again, I think it's, rather than just go, no, I don't listen to marketing, I think it's more about, you know, well, let's talk about this and work out a compromise solution.
I think also one of the frustrating things is being asked to show stuff or to have to supply stuff for the public before it's ready, before it's fully designed and finished and we're happy with it. That's very frustrating, but sometimes you just have to hand it over. And we still see a lot of the stuff on the internet that, you know, was prototype stuff that we really rather nobody saw.
But I think one of the interesting things that has come out from that is actually marketing and PD working together to actually build schedules where we can go, okay, we feel comfortable that we'll have something to show at this point. So I think it's been a learning process for actually all involved and actually a really constructive one. I mean that sincerely.
And just one other thing quickly, did you find the previs and all that work to help in
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We couldn't have got the game that we made without the previs, right?
That's essential. And now it's just something we do as a matter of course, is massive amount of previs before we start making it.
Also feeding into the other part of the last question, right? When you haven't got something on screen to show, you've always got previs. So if you're working on previs stuff and people are going, show me something cool, right? Suddenly you've got a whole bunch of cool stuff. It might not ever actually go into the game, or it might not be actual gameplay footage, but it is something that is engaging and starts to get people excited and thinking about the game. So I guess anyone else? There's a couple of questions here. Sorry, Dan.
Just a quick question. I don't think you can answer.
Make it.
What's the reason why it was only a Wii release? Sorry. Why was it only released on Wii, basically?
That's a really good question. And well, it all started back with that very original premise of we wanted to do innovative titles. THQ wanted to do innovative titles on Wii. And so it never deviated from that. Obviously, it could work on any platform and we could change the control scheme, but I think it actually is a really good fit. And it was, particularly at E3 this year, to have a huge team of Nintendo people come down and play the game. And we had actually, throughout development, I do encourage you, if you're working with Nintendo, to send the builds of the games that you're making, because they'll actually give you really good feedback. And they came down and they just told us how much they loved the game and how much they finally thought it was great that a third-party developer got the Wii. I still don't know quite what that means, but I think they like it. Yeah.
With the Wii remote,
Yep.
because you can feel a lot broken when you're trying to develop for it. When you're developing for it and trying to refine the mechanics for it for the game, how far through development stage did the control scheme start to feel
We
useful?
nailed it at pre-production. I mean, very definitely that's something you want to have it. We went through a very high concept phase and then drilled it down to exactly the play scheme that we wanted, and then really just move forward with that. I think if you're still playing around with controls after your first 4 to 6 months, then something's still not working there. And you really need to nail that first and foremost, because really I think particularly with making for Wii, it's all about controls first and foremost.
That was also one of the benefits of the grey box LD environment, was that we were able to rebuild environments to suit the control schemes we were doing very quickly and try out something new. What if the city was a much wider scale, if the buildings were taller, what if it was shorter, blah, blah.
There's a few questions.
Gentlemen, everyone wants a t-shirt.
There was a mobile SKU as well, wasn't there? How much involvement do you guys have with that?
Who asked that question? Sorry, you did. Sorry, are you asking about the iPhone game?
Yeah.
At the time, really the wireless division of THQ were not particularly connected to the rest of the business. So it was quite a surprise when the mobile game finally came out, but a very pleasant one actually. And I got to see that at E3 this year. It's kind of a cool game, but it was developed by a team in Finland, I think, and they had complete creative freedom, but those of you that work on mobile phone games will understand that they have much shorter development times and much tighter deadlines to work to. So I think those guys actually did a really impressive job with the limited set of assets that they had, because really when they commenced development, we still were working on some of the aspects of the art, and so they actually built a lot of that stuff themselves. But I think that moving forward, all of the different versions of Blob, and I think that's one of the things of if we do continue to make Blob games, we want every platform to actually have some very different sort of style of game that still unifies those core concepts of colouring and music. But yeah, we didn't have much involvement. Yes?
Yeah, just on, you had quite a small team to work with. Just 24, was that the...
24 to start with, but peak we were
33.
32.
Okay, when you're talking about the meetings that you had weekly, wanting to get everyone's input there, how do you prevent the design by committee problem? While still letting everyone feel that they're getting their input heard, not trying to alienate them by saying, no, your idea is not going to be put in. Does someone have the ultimate decision? Is there
That's
always...
right. Well, myself as project director is kind of the final veto, but I think the way it works is that with a team of 32 people, everyone talks to one another, and it's a very sort of flat structure. I think also we continually are getting back to that thing of communicating the core goals of what you're trying to build. It's like as long as the ideas that are being put forward either clearly clash with what those goals are, or if they fit, then you try and give them a go. But it could be like, well, why don't we have 7 different varieties of Blob or something like that, right? It's more often than not an issue of time and whether or not we could actually do that, right? So some good ideas, we just went, well, that's a great idea, we don't have time to do it this time around, and we have a whole catalogue of things that, should we be making a sequel, we would be including there. But really it's when someone goes, why don't we tweak it like this or do something small, we really try and get that in the game very quickly. And so it's, also part of the thing of, I guess there is a little bit of the committee thing involved there, but I think that often someone will come out with an idea, and if it's truly crazy, everyone else will shout it down as well. So it's not just one person who's going through, that is a really stupid idea. It's like, we get quite a few people that do.
Also, do you limit the time span where people can suggest these things to those
People
specific
crack on
meetings?
for hours, right? Really, it's like you get a beer in their hand and they're looking at it, and it's just like...
Week after week, sometimes.
Yeah, and some people will come back and they go, no, I can see it, the rainbow blob. And it's like, man, no one wants that. But I think it's good, right? Because obviously, we enjoy working with one another, and it's a very sort of comfortable atmosphere. And I think that's part of it, is that we expect people to, I think be respectful and communicate with one another. And often, it's like sitting in this room. I think as developers, we tend to be kind of quiet and kind of a little bit not kind of speaking out with one another, right? And there's nothing worse than having worked on a project and going, that thing really shat me the entire development phase, and they've shipped it now, and I'm going to say it, right? Rather than saying it like when it's first shown off, and you go, well, actually, I think that should be blew up.